Magnificent. The Eagles dominated flag fancies Collingwood in a sensational 66-point victory at Optus Stadium. The drubbing was the second biggest win for West Coast over the Pies in their 56-game history. It was also the biggest score against any team in 2020. 4 wins on the trot and into the top 4 for the first time this season. Welcome to this week's episode of Eagle Review, proudly sponsored by Kennards Hire. Can on Kennards to make trade easy. Go in store or online, kennards.com.au. Tyson Beattie, welcome to the desk. I don't think too many people saw a result like that at the beginning of the fixture.
Well, Stephen, I think most people were expecting an absolute thriller. I mean, remember, 2 out of the last 4 games has been decided by less than a goal between these two sides, and particularly after the start that Collingwood had. They had a 20-point lead at the 21-minute mark of the first term. They kicked 4 of the first 5 goals in that first quarter, and then West Coast went on and kicked 13 in a row, 17 out of 18 goals over the course of the match. And if you look at Collingwood, they kicked their 4th goal in that second term at the 15-minute mark. They didn't score another goal until the 21-minute mark in the 4th term. Remarkable.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, in a shortened season, a 66-point victory, it's got West Coast jumping up 14 percentage points. That is absolutely monstrous because our percentage was looking a little dire at the round 8 mark. But to do it against the stingiest defence in the AFL, the Collingwood, even after that massive belting they've just copped, they're still leading points against in the competition. That's how far ahead they were compared to all the other teams.
Well, some critical factors in the Pies' demise, Stephen.
Pies' demise, I like that.
DeGoey and Sidebottom obviously out, and Scott Pendlebury, a tight quad going into the start of the game and couldn't play in the end. So the first time that Collingwood hasn't had Pendlebury and Sidebottom in the side since 2009. Remarkable. And you mentioned the second biggest victory over Collingwood by West Coast in their 56-game history. Now, the biggest one ever was way back in 1991 at the Wacker. Only 7 Eagles were even born when that game was being played.
Good stat. I'm pretty sure one of those Eagles would be Jeremy Mcgovern, so he missed. Had a dodgy right thumb, didn't train a lot during the week, so you would think sustained it during the Derby. Didn't feel right to go, so let's hope he's going to be cherry ripe against the Cats this weekend. The first quarter, Collingwood, you could see what their directive was. It was to move the ball fast and at all costs, take corridor where possible, and it was effective. 14-6 inside 50s for that opening term, 4 marks to 1 inside forward 50, and West Coast scoring efficiency was just at 33%. They weren't really giving their forwards the best opportunity kicking to their advantage. I mean, 33%, they averaged 68% for the rest of the game, so they certainly turned that around. It took in the first quarter for Nick Nat to say, right, enough's enough, and a bit of solo brilliance inside forward 50 with this snap, really getting the West Coast on the scoreboard for the first time.
Oh, he was brilliant. I mean, I think most fans were salivating about this prospect of Brodie Grundy versus Nick Nat Nui, but you have to think Nick Nat really won the day because Grundy, his lowest disposal count for the entire season 2020. Nick Nat, meanwhile, only had 8 disposals, but 9-2 in the hit-outs. 5 clearances over both the ruckmans. He had a fantastic game, including a magnificent tackle as well.
Yeah, that's right. So the forwards certainly did their job in conversion. 18 goals from 35 inside 50s. Quite remarkable, and just the 3 behind, so conversion really on song on Sunday afternoon. So the forwards, Oscar Allen, let's touch on him first, played a great supporting role alongside Nick Nat against what will be the 2020 All-Australian ruckman in Brodie Grundy, I believe. Now, he's booted 3 straight, including this absolute ripper. Keeps it inside the goal line, walks a bit of a tightrope and kicks it on the goal line. That was just remarkable. Jake Waterman, again featuring 2 goals for him, but the big show, he certainly stole the show. 7 goals for the great man in his 15th season. Like a fine bottle of wine, TB.
Oh, he was magnificent. I mean, 32 times this season, teams haven't even been able to get 7 goals. He's got 7 himself. Credit ABC broadcaster Corbin Milmas with that nice stat. 13th time Josh Kennedy has kicked 7 goals or more and extending his club goal-kicking lead to 629. He is now 2nd on the Coleman ladder, just behind Tom Papley with 18 goals.
Yeah, but it was interesting the amount of free kicks Collingwood gave away that resulted in goals. So it was 4 for the entire team and 3 to JK. So a tick for the umpires, says Big Josh. Now, I want to touch on this Eagles midfield, where now we have said that Collingwood missing 3 absolute A-grade stars in there, but they were just running riot. They were so damaging, and it started with Tim Kelly. His 30 disposals were absolutely sublime. 6 inside 50, 6 clearances, was so clean. And what about this? A game-high 10 score involvements and a couple of his inside 50s in the third quarter. they were one to marvel at and certainly contributed to that 6-goal third term.
Oh, if he wasn't the best on ground, he was probably second best on ground. Luke Shuey's return from injury in the hub was pretty good as well. 19 disposals, 8 contested, and 2 fantastic plays here. Firstly, the 1-2 give and go, then spot-on delivery to Kennedy. This smother and steal steams forward and hits Oscar out and lace out for one of his 3 goals. That was a real highlight moment.
It was something special, and Treloar just gave a look as if saying,
what can I do?
I can't do anything about that. Now, speaking of plays of the game, I really enjoyed this one. Josh Rotham laid in as far as West Coast was concerned for Jeremy Mcgovern. Going back with the flight, had no idea what was coming in this second quarter. Thankfully, it was only Andrew Gaff that made contact, because if you want friendly fire and getting hit by a teammate, you're probably going to want it to be Gaffy.
Now, I want to ask you about Shannon Hearn. He overtook Peter Matera for the most kicks in West Coast Eagles history. He also surpassed on the game's record list Glenn Jakovic, so he's now 277, just 13 off Big Dean Cox for the most in West Coast history. He's playing pretty well again after a bit of a slump at the start of the season. A lot of talk about him potentially going for one more year. What do you think?
I don't see why not. I think his body's holding up. He's not getting soft tissue injuries left, right and centre. And as you touched on, I probably only saw one game this year where I thought that is probably the worst game I've seen Shannon Hearn play in many, many moons. I see no problem with him making history and being the first West Coast player to 300. It'd be a magnificent milestone.
Now, one of the real emotional parts of the week, Stephen, was the tragic loss that Liam Ryan suffered. His nephew earlier in the week passed away. Terrible story, terrible news. We weren't sure if he was going to play the game in the end, but the boys got right around him, rallied around him. He decided to play and kicked this goal in the 4th term. Points to the sky, clearly overrun with that emotion, and an extraordinary effort to get up and play and contribute the way he did.
100%. Such a tragic incident, TB, and one of the most heartwarming and really heartbreaking moments at the same time was seeing Liam go into the stands, hug the entire family. You saw what it meant to all of them to see Liam out there representing and playing on behalf of the family and his godson and nephew. And our thoughts again go out to the entire family through this time. Now, TB, it's time for a bit of light-hearted humour. We're on to the roast.
Yep, and you're going to start with an umpire.
Of course I am. The umpires always feature here. Now, this one from Razor Ray, this was a spot-on decision with Josh Kennedy juggling it over the line. You rarely see them get it so correct. So we'll roast JK for not taking the mark. We're ruthless here on the review. Now, we're going to move on to this supporter. Liam Duggan gives away a free kick. Goal for Collingwood. This is the most animated I've seen a West Coast supporter in some time. It's just brilliant.
Wow.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
He's missed his footy.
Big time. Now, Jack Darling, bit of shades of 2018 GF here in the final minutes. Oh, the old soap hands, no good. But didn't he reprieve himself in the 4th quarter with this belter grab on the line? Even held the footy up saying, I've got this one. That was some good humour from Jack.
How can he drop the first one, then take the second one? Amazing.
Chalk and cheese.
What about Myercheck here? This goal was actually called back. The goal umpire made the decision from 30 metres away. The field umpire missed it. I don't know if it's a roast on the field umpire, toast to the goal umpire, but the decision was right in the end.
Roast them all around, yeah, 100%.
Now Jack Redden has a chance here from 45 metres out. How's that for a flower bag?
Shocker. Enjoyed the director falling asleep at the wheel too. Well, felt like I was on the Gravitron for a minute there, TV. And then Cameron comes in and says, I'll mop it up for you, Reddo. No, you did not. You put it into Rosette in some random bar.
Well, let's go around the grounds now. Tom Papley, this 12-point play versus the Hawks. What do you think?
Oh, he sucked them all in nice and proper there. It was about as good as Jack Martin getting a 100-metre penalty in the rain for the Blues. He felt a bit guilty about it though, TB. He said, I probably don't deserve this shot, so he sprayed the absolute pants out of that one.
Not a great one here for Jasper Pittard. Jared Pollock takes this mark at 3/4 time, has a chance to kick a goal. Pittard pushes over Mark Murphy. Was that a fair dive?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest dives. 9.7 on the scorer's sheet, they reckon.
What about this one? McCluggage touched from 10 metres out. Definite roast there.
Roast 100% of the time. What about Aiden Core? I mean, read a rule book. What are you doing? Take it over the line. You got to know what's going on there. Hey, we're going to different codes now here too. Wow. Mitch Moses, that's one of the best penalty kicks I've ever seen. They put the old slip and slide out in the middle there, did they? Absolutely.
Now, this is the winner though, Stephen. So here's a promotion.
Comfortable winner, TB.
A graphic promotion for Geelong and Fremantle. Now, I think that's Kevy, the great Kevy Walters, who was a State of Origin and Brisbane Broncos legend, looking to make his debut. Or did the graphic man just search the wrong Walters?
Just put a Walters, any old Walters will do. How are you going to run 14k in a suit? I wonder. That's one of the biggest mares, and geez, you got to love it.